Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Purposeful Millennial. This is a platform for inspiring, uplifting, and insightful content. Well, so I'm made two videos today, and you clearly know which one was the first one. I had earrings and the shirt on, and I love that. But then I have this little thing where when YouTubers make multiple videos in a day and they're in the same outfit, it kind of like gets to me a little bit. So I had to like remove some of the things for this one so it looks like I'm in a different outfit, but I'm actually not. But well, welcome back to my channel. I'm super excited to be doing my second video today, and this will be posted a couple of days after the first one, or maybe the same day. Who knows? I'll try. But on this video, I want to talk a lot more about accountability and purpose. I feel like when it comes to me being the purposeful millennial, of course, purpose is the core of it. And when I was just thinking of my life of purpose and what has held me to it, it's really been the accountability. Like, I think when it comes to living a life of purpose and being accountable, those two can just not be separated. I feel like one of the things I'm starting to realize now as I grow up is like holding myself accountable in particular has become one of the best things. I feel like we live in a world where, you have to hype yourself up, you're doing all these things and do this like um all of these positive things we say to ourselves, which is good because we do have to speak life into ourselves, life and death are by the tongue. But I think in that, there's a level of flattery, which I think everybody and myself included, I have really sought to try and minimize over the course of me walking with myself in this life. And when I say holding myself accountable, I feel like what I mean by that is telling myself the truth and not being harsh to myself about it. I feel like the truth is the truth. The truth is a fact. The truth is not something that is a reflection of who you think you are. It is just a state of affairs, essentially, now that way I see it. So, for example, I have really been struggling with being consistent in going to the gym, and I've been seeking ways to make it better. And I've had to hold myself accountable to the fact that the body I'm walking in right now, in as much as I do seem healthy and all of those other things, I'm also not really walking in the full strength of who God has gifted me to be and what God has gifted me to have when it comes to health and all of these other things. So I have to hold myself accountable that, I could choose to flatter myself and be like, you look good though, that kind of stuff, which is true. But is this the best I could be? That is not true. No, I definitely could look better. I definitely could invest more in being a bit more fit at this point and just I reached out to a personal trainer a couple of weeks ago and I just thought, maybe I just need a personal trainer, get a routine going. And I had to check back in with myself that actually your problem is not the routine. It's the thing that you don't even go to the gym. Like, you don't even, like, just unroll your yoga mat in your living room and use it, like five stretches even. It's not a personal trainer you need. You need to just get the discipline to get up and go to the gym. So when I had that conversation with myself, I had to just pause on the whole personal trainer thing because it was one of those things where I realized I was trying to throw money at a problem that was mine to work on because the personal trainer was only going to add more work. And if not, I've had one consultation with a personal trainer before, and what they do is they actually sometimes end up giving you a routine that can be even a bit more difficult or somewhat like, you learn all these things and it can be a little complex. So at the end of the day, if the issue is that I'm not going to the gym at all, then none of that matters. So I decided, okay, I'm going to walk this walk first off, holding myself accountable to showing up for my fitness and all of that stuff. And it's still work in progress, but that's just the walk I'm on. And so I think when it comes to that, the key thing I've realized is even when we hold ourselves accountable, it doesn't need to be mean or anything of that sort. Like, it just like I say, the truth is just a fact. It does not have to. It can lead to an emotion in our bodies, but the truth is not something that never changes. Also, that's something I'm also starting to realize, that a fact can be a fact in this moment. It does not remain a fact permanently. Like, there are some facts that are not, they're not changeable. Like, I grew up in the family I grew up in, that's a fact that is not changeable. But the fact that I don't go to the gym right now I can change that. Like, if I hold myself accountable to all of this, that yeah, I don't go to the gym, that's why I look like this at this particular moment in terms of not reaching my body goals that I have, then it becomes very simple to walk on this world knowing, okay, um, the distance between me and this is just a fixed routine that I stay consistent with, all of that kind of stuff. And I feel at this point, as you grow older, like, people are not really going to be, people should be there to uplift you. People should be there to, sometimes tell you the truth and all the other stuff. But there's no need for us to wait on that particular moment. Holding myself, like, I'm making the goals for my life. I know the truth of everything that I have done. Like, I know the full story. I know sometimes, like, even with friends, they might want to hype you up, like, yeah, you didn't deserve that. They were so mean to you. But I kind of know that working up to that moment, maybe, just maybe, there was no smoke without fire. But then it's important to have those people who believe in you, who try to see the positive in the situation, who try to um speak to who you can be or who you should have been in those moments. But at the end of the day, I think it is a loss in life to not hold ourselves accountable, especially when we're young and building our lives. I remember, like, I had an early morning trip to LA a couple of, I think it was a couple of months ago. And I was in the Uber at 4 a.m. The Uber driver picks me up, is talking about her story. And he's just like, I should have made better decisions when I was young. And so he's saying this story, and I'm like, okay, so what better decisions do you think you should have made? And the things he spoke to, I could tell that this person made their decisions in their 20s, but then even in their 40s, there's still a certain level of, like, lacking full accountability in that moment about what truly caused them to get to that point that was there. And as long as that gap in knowledge is there, like, ignorance is not bliss when it comes to success and building life and being the best we can be. Ignorance is not bliss. um, there was a level of introspection and truly answering the core of the question that was still not there. And I think one of the things that, even in my walk with God, I was reading the book of Proverbs a couple of years ago, and it shocked me that flattery was considered so negative. I used to think flattery is just like, I don't know, but you say something nice to someone to uplift them, right? But flattery, which is literally telling someone something and knowing it's not true, also applies to ourselves. And I have my Bible here with, like, two verses I feel are important for anyone to understand the trap. I call it a trap now, the trap of flattery in our lives. So there's Proverbs 29, verse 5, which says, whoever flatters his neighbor is spreading a net for his feet. And there's the other one, Proverbs 28, verse 23. He who rebukes a man will in the end gain more favor than he who has a flattering tongue. Like, flattery leads you nowhere. Flattering is definitely one of those dead end streets that is like, it might be beautiful, whatever, but it goes nowhere. There's no growth in flattery. There's there's just a lot of loss in flattery, in lying to yourself about what happened. And there's no point in living this life in a state of flattery, because even in the things that sometimes I realize, like when I fail or when something happens and it's not up to my expectation, the moment that I'm honest with myself and I'm like, okay, this did not go as planned, but what did I do to get myself here? Honestly, what did I do? And I think the thing is, you don't even need to tell other people. Authenticity, that's the other thing that I mentioned in my other video. Authenticity is not about liking privacy. So even after telling myself the truth, it's fine for me to accept the words of affirmation that my friends would say, or all of that stuff. But I don't need to. You don't need to go out and admit to other people, I'm a this, like that. Like, there's no point. But to myself, though, to myself, I made a decision a couple years ago that I would stop lying to myself. And let me tell you, when you start telling yourself the truth, you even become more aligned with your purpose. Because when things happen in life, it also is showing you a bit more about where God needs you to be and where God does not need you to be, and what God needs you to grow in. So the honesty that I have with myself is, I feel, enabling me to walk with God a lot more in becoming the person and actually giving fruits of the things that He has truly desired me to be and to have. But with that, holding myself accountable, I think one of the other things that I've had to do away with is excuses in the resources when it comes to holding myself accountable. I feel like what I mean by that is, like, I used to hold myself accountable and being like, yeah, this didn't go well, but I did the best with what I could, with what I had. Like, I mean, if I had more, right, I would have done more. Like, if I did it, like, sometimes, just sometimes, you have to work with what you have. And this particular verse is something that has been at the core of me realizing that the lack of resources or all of these things, these are facts, but they should not be used as excuses that I cannot do this because I do not have that. When you lack a particular resource, just thinking of, now I think of, okay, this didn't work out because I didn't have this, but how can I still work in this particular area without necessarily, and without putting myself in a place of lack because I don't have this thing. Now I know I need this thing, but I don't have it. But how do I counter this and continue on in my purpose? Now, cutting to the chase, here's the verse that I want to talk about. We all know the verse in Philippians 4, verse 13, where he speaks of, I can do everything through him who gives me strength. And this verse, I just used to be like, I can do it all through him who gives me strength. I can do everything through Christ who strengthens me. That's usually how we say it, right? But when I started reading my Bible and I read what is said before, so Philippians is essentially written by Paul, right? And he's just explaining, right? And in the time of troubles, you continue on, you keep on with God's word, all of that stuff. But what he says in Philippians 11, this is how it starts. For I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do everything through him who strengthens me. Hmm, that's the verse. That's the full verse. At the end of the day, accountability and purpose are realizing that God, who has placed this desires for things, whether to have things, to become something, all of these, God places desires on our hearts. And I've heard one of my pastors, Stephanie, whom I truly really like her messaging, quote Philippians 2, verse 13, which is, for it is God who works in you to will and to act according to his good purpose. Do everything without complaining or arguing, so that, okay, that I'll just add there. God places desires on our hearts that help us be more aligned with our purpose. And sometimes you look around and it's the environment or the resources just don't seem to be adding up. It's like, yo, you want me to do this, but look at what I have. And holding oneself accountable is also holding oneself accountable to God who says that He's the Alpha and the Omega, to the God who will finish what He started, to the God who, if you are true and you're honest with Him, will equip you with things that you need. If there's anything I really like, I mean, I think people have a lot of negative things to say about Moses, but I feel like Moses was also really accountable and true to himself when he said, I cannot speak. And what did God do? He equipped him with the helper, the brother, so that they could go together and the brother could speak and all of that stuff. And he could have that confidence. But when you actually read the book of Exodus, you kind of realize that Moses also ended up doing some speaking in the end. It wasn't just Aaron was speaking. So it's more so that like he did need that confidence boost and everything. But at the end of the day, what God has purposed us to do, we can do every single one of those things. And we need to hold ourselves accountable to doing the things that God has sent us to do and doing everything through Him who strengthens us in all circumstances, whether in plenty or in want. And so basically, as I'm walking this life of purpose and just building in the ways that God has desired me to build and strengthening myself in the ways that God has desired to strengthen me, I'm realizing that I need to hold myself accountable, tell myself the truth, tell myself what I need, tell myself what I'm lacking in that moment, and ask God to give me the resources, the strength, the people, the things to fill the gaps of where I need to be and who I need to, and where I currently am, and just keep building on that moment and keep building in that confidence. So, yeah, basically with that, I think it's time for me to I've come so far. I might just sleep looking up and go to church in this makeup look. What do you think? Is that a good idea? Because then I can just stretch it out. Yeah, I'm a lazy makeup person. But yeah, that's all I have for today. And that is the content you get this week. I will come back again if I have something I truly have on my heart to say. I feel like this weekend, the main things that were on my mind were speaking on self confidence and accountability because I think those are the two things that I've really been working a lot on in the last couple of months. So I can kind of speak to them a bit. And other than that, I am looking forward to going to church and all of these beautiful things that Sunday comes with. My Sunday is very chill most of the time. I love to nap, relax, just, for whatever reason, I've become a homebody. And well, I know what the reason is, but it's okay. I won't talk about much here, but I definitely have become a homebody. I used to say that I don't like being at home, but now I kind of realize I love being at home. I actually love being at home. And I totally understand why people think hanging out at home is a whole thing. Definitely, it's not always the best thing to do. It's good to be out there, experience the world, but I've been grateful now for the gift of being able to have peace and just hanging at home. But anyway, with all that, I wish you all a good week. May God keep you and bless you in everything you'll be doing that is aligned to His will and purpose for your life. Amen.